User Group? Is he in the room? He's out front. Okay, well, high five to Dale. We've got Jim Carboni, our fearless website creator and our jack of all trades. He's taken on everything he can. And finally, the gal who has really kept the wheels on this bus for the past 6 months. Denise Carboni is the co-leader of the Chicago User Groups. She's right up there. You kept us all sane, thank you. All right, so any questions throughout the day, just find one of us. We are the ones with the blinged out Hawaiian border on our badges. We're happy to direct you, show you where to go, answer any questions. If we have the answers, we'll help you out. If we don't, we'll try to find them. The presentations from today are all going to be put in the MidWest Dreamin group that's on the Success community. So if you've not joined that group, join it. And we will post all of the presentations there. So you don't have to worry about taking pictures of the slides or anything like that, because they will be posted there. And then throughout the day, we have in rooms 206 and rooms 207, the Circles of Success, which are led by Salesforce people. You can go in there and ask any Salesforce question you have, and they will try to help you out. So if you've got some burning questions that aren't being answered by the speakers today, please make sure that you go ahead and visit the Circles of Success. Now, I said that you can take pictures today if you want to. You can tweet if you want to. Please tweet about this exciting event. We want everybody to know about it. You can tweet about almost anything today, and I said almost because there is going to be one thing right after I walk off the stage that is an internal Salesforce video. And it's just super secret private just for the people in this room. So please don't take pictures of it. Please don't tweet about it. Please just enjoy it and know that you're very special for having the knowledge, okay? All right, so let's get started with our opening keynote. We are really honored to have the SVP of Product Readiness from Salesforce, Darcy, is with us today. And if you've been at Dreamforce prior to about, 2012 or so, you will recognize Dan's hands, because he was the demo guy when Mark's up there talking during these keynotes. But we actually get the whole person today, not just the hands. So we're excited about it. Please help me welcome Dan Darcy.
Good morning, everyone. So my name is Dan Darcy. I'm the Senior Vice President of Productivity at Salesforce, and I help run sales enablement today. But my night job, that's my day job, my night job is I still run our customer visions for our CEO, Mark Benioff. And I've kind of been doing that since day one, and I'll kind of get more into that in just a little bit. So I want to welcome you all to the MidWest Dreamin 2015. As Lena had mentioned, I mean, it's super exciting to be here. That this is a conference put on by you guys. And it's one of those things where I'm like, I've never been able to see something like this at this scale, and so it's been an honor to kind of be here and be on stage with you guys to talk about what we're about to learn today. But before we begin, I really want to, again, just another big round of applause for all the organizers. Can we give it? It really is actually something special to work at Salesforce and see our customers putting on something like this, and for me to be able to participate. And I know this all started with a dream, kind of to bring a bunch of user groups together to one big location. And I know this is the second year of doing this. And who's new to MidWest Dreamin this year? Can everyone raise their hand? Wow. That looks like about 99% of you are all new this year, and it's only going to continue to grow and get larger. So I don't know how you guys are going to figure out scaling, but this is a great start. So why are we here, or why am I here this morning, and why are we all here today? I mean, we're here to obviously have a fun day of learning, networking, and getting out there to understand more about how you can further your career with Salesforce and grow. And when Eric asked me to speak today, it was one of those things where I was absolutely flattered, as I said, but the next moment I was like immediately scared because I didn't know what the hell I was going to talk about. But then, there's been something I've been thinking about for a long time that I've been wanting to get out there, especially to a lot of you folks, because I know this is a big admin conference as well as developers, is to kind of talk to you about my story of how I'm actually a Salesforce administrator inside of Salesforce, and how I've been able to use Salesforce really ignite a culture of change within Salesforce. And it's been quite a journey. And so I want to kind of take you on that journey with me to kind of show you and talk about kind of tips and tricks for how I was able to ignite a culture of change, because I'm no different from you. I mean, I just know the setup screen and how terrible that setup tree is, but we're working on it. But it's one of those things where, I've gotten to really know the product like the back of my hand. And so I want to talk about what happened with day one for me at Salesforce, or even actually day zero when I was interviewing. How many of you actually know what this slide is?
Yeah.
Okay, just a few. So I'll set this up. So what this is actually the architecture of Salesforce back in 2008. We used to call it the fan and the block. The fan on the right and the block on the left. And the fan represents all of our applications that set on top of the platform. And then the left is obviously the platform and all the services that you were able to leverage. Now, during my interview at Salesforce, it's kind of a funny story because they told me, no, I could not work at Salesforce because I really could not help understand or articulate this slide. And it was a very interesting conversation with the CMO at the time. And Peter, we won't talk about the name because I don't want to throw him under the bus. But it was one of those things where he basically said, my interview was cut short, and about a couple hours later, my advocate who was trying to hire me at Salesforce said, you really messed up that interview because you didn't understand what the hell we were trying to do. And I'm like, yeah, look at this thing. Who else? I mean, how could you actually really explain this or really understand that? And so he goes, but I was able to convince him to give you one more chance and to actually talk about, what you're going to be doing in your job. And I was going for a role of a technical product marketer to actually be an evangelist and actually build demos for the product. And he said, it was a Friday, and he said, you have the weekend to build a demo and actually then present it on Monday to give you another chance to see if you're going to work at Salesforce or not. And I said, okay, how the hell do I do that? Because I don't even know Salesforce. I came from Oracle, I used to implement Siebel, I had no clue what Salesforce was about. So what I did over the next 48 hours was actually spin up a trial org within Salesforce, and I buried myself in the help and training setup docs. And actually I was starting to think, I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know where to begin. But then I started thinking about the use case, about what I needed to do, and I was like, okay, you know what, I'm going to build a demo around a nonprofit that I was working with at the time to automate a lot of their business processes. And I was like, okay, that's actually not a bad idea because I know how they do it today. They just write down things or they put in Excel spreadsheets, etc. So what I did was spin up that org, and I was able to build a demo that effectively managed volunteers and how they could volunteer their hours, and then got more of a social profile around that volunteer. And it was at that moment, over the next 48 hours, that weekend, I realized the true power of Salesforce and saw how easy it was to really impact change within a nonprofit. So even if I didn't get the job at Salesforce, I knew that this was going to be my calling to really help a lot of businesses and customers out there on the Salesforce platform. And so what happened was, obviously, I got the job, so it worked out okay. And it was one of those things where, actually, here's one of the demo screens. I just remember that UI way back in the day. It actually gives me anxiety looking at it, so I don't want to look at it too long. So at that moment, I realized how the power of Salesforce. And fast forward a couple of years, and Lena gave a great introduction. This has been me for the last kind of 5 years at Salesforce, 7 years at Salesforce. And I've been at Salesforce for about 8 years now. And I'm kind of the guy that's the Dreamforce demo guy. When they used to call me the hands, it's because back in the day you could not do outputs from the mobile devices. So we had these HD cameras that on your hands, and my hands were always there, so I had to go get manicures, of course, right? Because I didn't want my fingernails. Never mind. Okay. So that was me, and one of the things was, being the demo guy. You can kind of make what you want to make of being the demo guy, and I didn't look at myself as just being a demo guy. I looked at myself as kind of being an evangelist for the product, to really show to our customers, such as yourself, the art of the possible and what is out there with what you can do with Salesforce. And it was one of those things where I really took it completely seriously, because the true power of Salesforce, and this is how I can impact change, was to get the message out there that this is all possible on the Salesforce platform. And that's why, I was really excited to come and talk to you guys today, being admins and developers and end users, is that you can actually do that same within your customer base and within your company that you're working for. So eventually my role, kind of the visions that we kind of came up with, these customer visions that we came up with on stage, and you would see them at Dreamforce and all of our events, my influence kept growing, and it was great because I started realizing that a lot of the visions I was building became product visions and prototypes for what we were going to deliver in the product. And so there was a shift in power at that moment in time where people were starting to look at what we were doing on stage, and kind of like, a lot of you probably don't know, and I'll tell a story a little bit, just a little bit, is like, a lot of the features you use today were first built by my team to kind of see if we could play around and see if it would make sense for you guys to drive that innovation, such as chatter. And there was this momentous time on where I went away from being the hands, and the guy that was, behind the stage, and a lot of you affectionately called me in Twitter Silent Bob, and so I'll show you guys that in a second. I'm like, I don't even know where the Silent Bob came from, but it doesn't matter. It was great. I just love to be recognized. It was fun. But Mark actually called me to actually talk about, the social profile and talk about visions of the future on stage. And that is that moment where I realized, things are evolving. You can be a product evangelist. You can unlock the power of the Salesforce platform and really help to that change. And so with that momentous change, you can see some of the Twitter spirit kind of saying, oh, Silent Bob breaks his silence and blah, blah, blah. And it was actually really cool because I knew I made it when there was a Lego character made in my likeness from Gary Palmetier, right, in a YouTube video. So, and that kind of just inspired me more to do more for you guys and to kind of show you the art of the possible on stage. And so all of that design and that stuff I was prototyping and doing on stage, Parker was like, well, why don't you kind of come over into Tech and Prod and help run our product design team to deliver the next generation of the UI, which was the Salesforce One mobile app. And so what we did was we blew up the UI on the mobile app, and we launched Salesforce One, which I know a lot of you potentially use today. And what we're going to do is, from the learnings that we're creating on the Salesforce One mobile app, we're going to also extend that onto the desktop to give a new way to think about how Salesforce can change. And you'll stay tuned for those kind of updates at Dreamforce. But then eventually, over time as well too, after Salesforce One was launched, what also happened was, we were growing at an amazing clip, and my brand at Salesforce was the guy that was the fixer and visionary for how we can blow up things at Salesforce and really rethink the process and actually implement it. So now my next assignment that I've been working on is I'm the SVP of Productivity and Field Enablement, and really helping our field reps as well as our customer success folks understand the power of the Salesforce platform, because I don't think really everyone fully grasps and realizes what you can actually do with Salesforce. Salesforce platform, it really comes down to storytelling and really understanding the personas and the use cases for what you're trying to solve and creating that storyboard across that. And I kind of want to talk about the story of, the tale of two demos, which was clappies versus kind of telling a story. When I first joined Salesforce, George Hugh was 2008. He was on stage kind of talking about amazing things and like this feature and that feature, and you guys put it on the App Exchange, we were listening to you and we delivered it. And those were amazing, and they were amazing innovations, but we called those clappies because it was like a golf clap. Yeah, thank you, finally you did it. I can't believe it took you that long. But congratulations, great job. But then at some point we started realizing these clappies and these features that we're pulling together really kind of tell more of a bigger story. And they tell more of a story around who we're trying to solve for. And it's like, how do we make admins' lives more easier? How do we make the end user, the sales rep, the customer service agent, the marketing person, their lives more easier? And how can we tell that story and really create a vision for what we do on stage? So you'll notice for the folks that have been around with Salesforce for a long time, around 2009, 2010, we started talking about what our customers were doing and talking about a story of how we were trying to do things differently. And what was great about that too is, we got away from the clappies, and the admins, it was great to hear their feedback. They said, you're not staying true to the core, so we obviously developed the True to the Core program as well internally, which is great because we want to listen to you. But telling a story is so important because you really have to, again, understand exactly what you're trying to solve for. And everyone asks me, and Peter Coffey does a great storytelling thing too that I'm excited to kind of capture for a lot of our sales reps. People ask me, well, how do you come up with your storyboards and how you think about, when you're working with customers or when you're working on business problems internally at Salesforce? And I said, I have it in 4 phases, and here it is in a very simplified manner. We'll put this on the success committee so you guys can take a look at it. But the first piece is obvious, research and discovery. Really understand what problem you're trying to solve, get to the why, understand the technologies that are surrounding the problems that you're trying to solve, understanding all those kind of discovery type questions, and really keep asking questions to fully understand the business transformations and the drivers that you're trying to figure out in working with your customers or working internally in your own business. And then the next piece is to ideate and innovate. And this is the piece where you start thinking about, okay, well, what persona am I trying to fill? Is it an end user? Is it a sales rep? Is it a customer service agent? Is it all 3? And how do we build 3 different vignettes? And how do those vignettes all connect together around, a customer or their customer? And so thinking about that storyboard and building out that storyboard, then you have to actually start thinking about the screens and the things you have to start building. And you keep kind of pitching that, and you keep telling that story, and you get that story together, and you keep refining it, and it keeps refining. And I'm telling you, I'll tell a quick story about that in a little bit with Chatter and how we actually were helped to use that process to really get Chatter built at the company. Number 4, keep yourself surrounded with like-minded people. And you guys are doing an absolute fantastic job today with doing that, which is awesome to see you guys all coming together and really collaborating and networking. But this is so important because, it's not just me who was helping ignite a culture of change. It was this team behind me that really helped change how we thought about visions and how we thought about demonstrating our stuff at companies and how we work with our customers and really applying the Salesforce suite of apps and platform to our customers' problems. And so when I say this is surround yourself with people, and even if they don't report into you, that's fine. Influence them, bring them into the conversation, help solve their problems with the Salesforce platform. And with that, you kind of continue to grow that network of people who could help you ignite and continue that culture of change within your company. And the success community. And I'm sure you guys are all very aware of this. You guys are all participants in this. This is awesome, 1.6 million users and growing, and it's continuing to grow, and we're continuing to invest in the success community to get that out there. So continue to network and continue to talk to people about Salesforce and understand, what you can do within your company to ignite that change. And of course, Dreamforce. So how many of you have not been to Dreamforce? Raise your hands. Wow. Okay, we need to get you guys to Dreamforce. Because for the folks that have been there, it's one of those things where, it's kind of a weird, I can't even explain it. It's kind of like a Burning Man of cloud computing.
But with clothes. With clothes.
Okay, maybe like a Woodstock of cloud computing. But it's super exciting to be surrounded with all of these amazing people, and it's literally 4 days of intense, networking fun. I lose my voice at the end of it. Everyone gets sick after the end of it. It's just one of those things where you kind of leave it all at the conference, and I really hope you guys can all come to Dreamforce this year. But that's where you can really get out there. We even brought in a carnival ship for more rooms because the capacity in the Bay Area is so packed. And I'm sure Airbnb is out there too. So, and then today actually, we have these circles of success, kind of smaller groups that you can connect with like-minded users around different projects and things that you're faced with in your daily lives. So really take advantage of the circles of success that's happening today at MidWest Dreamin. Number 5, my favorite one. Embrace the haters, right? Haters are always going to hate. And it's one of those things where I've learned that, you know, if you don't embrace the haters, it's going to take you down. And you got to understand that the haters have, you know, I mean, they're not hating, they have a point of view that is important that you're not listening to. And so it's one of those things where, you know, it was a good lesson to learn in embracing the haters, and I'll tell you why, because chatter actually almost did not become a product within the company, right? Can you imagine Salesforce without chatter? I mean, maybe some of you can, but I mean, the thing is, I mean, chatter has really transformed how we think about, you know, communities, how we think about collaboration and being social. And the story of chatter was interesting because I worked for CMO Craig Swenser at the time, who did a lot of the presentations and demos that some of you recognize. And he had this idea where, if you saw that screen of Salesforce back in the day where it was just all lines of text and everything, you know, you had a user ID inside of Salesforce. And that user ID inside of Salesforce really meant nothing. You were just another number inside the Salesforce database. It didn't even matter. But what if you were to put a profile picture next to that user ID? Holy shit. That was everyone like was uproar. There was like no one was like, no way, we're gonna do social inside enterprise applications and blah blah. Well, it was kind of one of those things where we got a lot of that hater feedback to really help craft and draft a prototype of how chatter can really effectively help change your business and talk about objects talking to you and letting you know when things are happening and being informed. And so what we were able to do with all of that hater feedback, you know, it was, you know, we were able to convince Mark and the executive team to really stop everything that we were doing in R&D at that point and shift everyone in R&D to chatter. Now, obviously that was like a crazy change within the company because, you know, obviously we wanted to continue to invest in, you know, Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, et cetera, in the platform. But that kind of momentum and change and igniting that culture of change really had to come by understanding the feedback that's out there from a lot of the people that were against the social collaboration inside our enterprise platform. And that change of actually putting you being a human being within inside of Salesforce and not a user ID was a shift in the paradigm of thinking of how we did things at Salesforce. So that was a pretty cool thing in really embracing the haters. And you know, at the end of the day, all haters just need a hug, right? So, I mean, and you gotta go, yes, we were listening to you. Thank you so much, hater 1, hater 2. Yes, we're listening to you as well. And you actually did help us give more feedback because when objectives would come, we would overcome those objectives. And so that was kind of one of those cool things that, you know, where I say in really helping ignite a culture of change, you gotta embrace the feedback that's coming. So those are my 5 tips for igniting a culture of change within your company. It's all in the vision. Keep your saw sharp. Storytelling is key. Surround yourself with like-minded people and embrace the haters. So I want to thank you guys for coming, but a couple of things for the folks that have not been to Dreamforce. There's a special conference code to get $100 off. So if you guys want to write that down, it's DF15MWDRM to get $100 off to come to Dreamforce. And I hope to see you all there. It's going to be exciting with a bunch of Foo Fighters. We also have kind of another secret second guest that's also coming that is open to everyone. So we're going to announce that later. And what is any presentation would have one more thing. So I'm actually going to go rogue here a little bit before we get to this one more thing. She's going to hate me for this. I want to, Chris, stand up, don't hate me. I want to introduce everyone to Chris Landy. No, turn around, come here. Okay, Chris Landy helped me prepare this presentation. No, just keep standing. And I know we're all a family here. We're a family at Salesforce. She absolutely missed her birthday on Tuesday to help pull this all together. I feel terrible, but I want you all to help me in thanking her and sing happy birthday to her. A big MidWest Dreamin happy birthday to Chris. So, here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. don't have any.
This is great. Well, we have 3 more. So anyway, once you guys find that, I want to thank you all for coming out today. Have an incredible day of learning and fun and networking. And thank you very much, MidWest Dreamin, for having me.
What am I going to do with that all day?